Ugh. No, guys, doing grumpy old woman. Very in tune, Herman. Thank you. Um, very in tune to what's going on all over the web. With one aspect of it, and maybe someone can help me out. Uh, Everybody's saying I don't like to go live because it's hard for me to not answer the questions, and so then when I look back at it, a lot of times I'm like, oh God, I didn't even talk about anything I wanted to talk about. So this question, um, I think that if um, right, like they haven't been able to conceal anything about. So I don't know how they would have been able to, pass that off without someone stepping forward. There, let's do it that way. Is that better? Press a put a one if that's better. Much better. Okay. Um, I don't think they are. If that answers your question, I don't think they are because those two are not any sort of criminal mastermind. Um, Thank you, Fairchild. I hope that answers your question, and I hope it makes sense because I hear a lot of other people answering questions that they really have no business even answering, and when they do, a lot of times you just feel more confused after. Hey, Shanti, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back. So the one thing that I want to bring up is um, I spoke on it, I guess, yesterday or whatever, or the day before, whenever. Um, guys, hit the thumbs up. I don't ask you for no money or donations or none of that, man. Hit the thumbs up. Yes, Tina. Very, very well may be, Gleanne. So, but I'll tell you what's happened is that there's been these peaks and valleys for the two throughout the whole thing. And I'd say there's probably been more valleys than anything. So I felt like after the first interview, I felt like And of course it was all powered. The way you felt about her, I think, was powered a lot by the interview room guy. And so the way that it was pushed to me was that um, when they wrapped up at the river, right at the end there, he talked about, her, or him not, thinking she wasn't a good mom, had the shirt on, and I feel like he helped vindicate her then, and so, which was a great thing, right? It was an awesome thing. But then, what happened was they got around there to the house. And let me preface getting around there to the house. They got around there to the house, and YouTube thinks that nothing is off limits, right? When it comes to these things, nothing is off limits. If you have a missing child, like, we deserve to be all in your fucking your laundry hamper, all that jazz, right? Like, we can get in your mom's sewer tank, and it is insane, the kind of access that they want, right? So, of course, you have to know Candace knew immediately that when she went to that property with that guy, Chris, um, he didn't need to show all that. He did not. But what I'll tell you is that Candace, she bared her soul. She bared her soul for that man to come in there. I mean, she now, people are like, oh, she didn't do that. Candace hasn't done this or done that. There's no way for you to gauge what that place looked like before and what it looks like now. I people, I've heard people say, oh, she didn't even try to clean up before this or that. Guess what? Guess what? She kept it real. Candace kept it real. Right? You know how when other families that we deem normal, when their children go missing, you know how they leave the room just like it was when the child went missing? Okay, so we're talking about the same situation. These people don't have a lot. They don't have a lot of stuff. And she showed you, she showed you all what they have. And you didn't like the way it looked. A lot of us didn't like the way it may have looked. But because of the way it looks, doesn't mean they're guilty of a damn thing other than the way it looks. Fucking right it was. Who just said that? Yeah, it was a Hilton. The other thing you got to understand is that these are people who are homesteading, right? Right? Like, most, the rest of us, a lot, not the most, but a lot of us, guess what we own? Actually less than those people, because we rent, we lease, we go, if you haven't taken the plunge and dropped that big down payment, or even a little down payment, onto something, and then you move away from the mechanism of the city, you move away from the mechanism of society, and you want to bring your family somewhere country-esque. Do you think that house is the way it was going to be forever? I'm quite certain that the dream was to get the money up, and then add, like, you see, they added on to it on the kitchen part. I don't know, 8 or 10 foot addition, 6, 8, 10 foot, whatever. So yeah, the ultimate goal is to build onto it. They just have the bare bones of what they got is what they got. Yes, they wanted to make they are going to make plenty more additions. That is a very big deal. Guess what? We rent the concrete or the house that we live inside. Guess what Don owns? Don and Candace own 11 acres all the way to the center of the earth. Guess what? They'll continue to build condos and apartments and rent houses, but they're not making any more ground to sell. It's a limited market for property available for humans to own. And Don's got 11 of it. How much do the rest of us have? Well, I rent 1,500 square feet. He's got 11 acres. Absolutely. Right? So, you have to realize also, are we so surprised, YouTube? Are we so surprised that when we look at videos of other countries and we see the conditions there, we think that it just escapes our brain that there could be people that are failed by economics, that are failed by politics, that slip through the cracks, right? Look at the new generation of human beings being raised, right? Don is a concrete or a drywall finisher. All these young kids all want to be YouTubers and gamers and all that other bullshit. Who's going to finish the drywall when Don gets too old to do it? Don is an essential human being. Yes, many feel way entitled. I grew up doing concrete work, right? People just walk all over top of it. It's nothing. But to a guy like me, oh man, it was art, right? Like, oh my God, you want to, absolutely. It just, you know what I mean? Like, who are we, right? Like if you don't have a bed like this, you need to have CPS, right? That's what they say, right? Like, hey, if I had land and a house and material bills from me trying to build stuff, 4 kids, man, you've just captured what it looks like in the moment, right? You're not capturing it after the work is done. What you're looking at is a haircut halfway through. You can't look at any haircut halfway through and say, "Oh, that looks great." You're looking at people are giving up before before the miracle, before the works happen, right? Before the prayers are answered, right? Guess what? I think everything about what they have is beautiful because I see the potential in any and everything. Hooah? Yeah, right? Guess what? Let me show you, like, hey, they got all that land. Man, I wish I had all that. Hey, this is my little slice of heaven. A 10 by 6 garden, right? 10 by 6 garden. But guess what? Look at that. I got little froggies everywhere, right? Like I just got the whole thing going on. Oh, that's a beautiful little frog. Right? So not only, it's God will give you what you deserve, and he'll staff it with the frogs and the praying mantises and everything, right? It's all about the perspective, the perspective and the perception, right? It's like the doors on the shed. People are like, "Oh my God, wait, hold on, look." They're like, "Oh my God, the gate door, the shed door was open when they walked by, or it was closed when they walked by. Now when they walk by, it's open." Perception, right? It's not about what it actually is or looks like. It's about what you want to see, right? It's all about what you want to see. So guess what? A lot of people come to me with different things and they're like, oh, Benny, what about this and what about that? And I'll be honest with you, I'll say, I don't know. The wind could have blown it open. There you go. Anything, right? Other than the first thing you jump to is that someone had to have been hiding in there and covertly snaking around behind the interview, like a reptile. That's the first thing it has to be, right? I mean, it just has to be that, right? So yeah, you need a Dave and Austin climbing rose on that fence, Benny. I do. I'm upgrading. I have exotic stuff, kumquats, avocado, blueberries. So Chris said she had a bad house. I get that. It's and the one thing about Chris is that he makes comments. He keeps comments back. And we heard, oh well, I've got a theory, but I'm not gonna share it here. And we'll just package it and give it to the TBI. But we'll say that their house is this, that, or the third. That's not fair, man. I don't think that's fair. Now, I'm not saying that everyone else lives to the same standard is what I believe is fair, but yeah, it's all a monetization. It's all a monetization. Hey, Autumn J. That's the other thing, Autumn J. They don't have any kids there. Like, okay, we do understand that eventually they're going to have to jump on the horse and whip this shit into shape. But right now, like, they're in the fallout time, right? Like, this is the time where, it's okay to visit this time, but you can't stay here, right? Not the way it is, right? Simply Wicked, thank you. Suspicious minds, that's all it is. And I've said it before, guys, there's a lot of things about these cases where YouTube can be helpful. But ultimately what you're looking at, all right, these things need to drag on for the YouTube's sake, right? Like I said before, it's job security. It's like throwing a pass to yourself, like, and then catching it on the other end, right? It's like, let's tear up all the law enforcement money that's available to do these sorts of things, to help investigate. And then when it's dropped down and they can't do anything more, we'll really assume control. And then we'll drag it out as long as we can. And we'll ask for money for everything and anything. Right? I leave the TV on 23 hours a day. Yeah, that doesn't mean someone was there and then they snuck. I mean, somebody said, oh, they might have had company or maybe Don was there and he snuck out to the shed and left the TV on. Like, hold on, wait. I don't know, but let's just see. Oh, you caught me with mine off today. Well, my TV stays on. It stays on. A lot of people's computers stay on, so on and so forth. So that to me didn't dictate anything. Tina, yes. They're going to manufacture something. Absolutely manufacture. I'm going to read a couple more of these comments. You think they're wonderful church friends. You would think, yeah. But they very well could have been ordered to, just kind of live there. Don't do a bunch of that kind of stuff until they get deeper on into this investigation. That's just speculation, but that, that's not a crazy speculation. Maybe they said, hey, don't go picking up anything or moving anything. Just leave it like it is. And when we're through, you can do whatever you like. But you don't need to go picking up stuff on our account. That's how they would preface that to them. Yeah, I have to sleep with it on too, Grumpy. Autumn, it is. It's disgusting.
Oh, that property has been searched like nothing you've ever seen searched. That place has had so many different agencies going in and out of it. Well, now, see, that's the thing, guys. Autumn, he is an investigator, and I've seen a lot of these different guys online. There's another channel, Cop Facts, COPFAXX. He's a cool dude. He is he's an ex-homicide investigator out of Colorado Springs. Now, the accolade of being a homicide investigator is awesome, but if you're if you're a homicide investigator in a place that gets, 3 homicides every decade, you're not working on homicide solely. That doesn't make you a specialist or an expert just because you made it to gumshoe homicide detective. You haven't mastered anything until 10,000 hours or 10 years. It's the rule of tens. And even then, if you were a homicide detective 40 years but handled 10 cases, that does not make you an expert. No, detectives don't work alone. And what you find a lot of times is you find these battles with detectives and lawyers. But what I would say is that Mr. Chris hasn't had a whole lot of like he gathers the details, he makes the plays, and then he hands it off to the prosecutor, or I don't know, maybe some homicide offices, they have a closer, so they'll bring the case just as far as they can, and then they'll drop it off to the closer, and then the closer, who has this relationship with the DA and the prosecutor and all, they'll meet with a team that they all know each other. They'll exhibit the case, and then they'll draw charges or warrants or whatever after that. So that just because a guy is a detective doesn't mean that you get it, right? I don't have to give you the whole trickle down economic on the law and detectives. So I don't know, guys. No, it's not going to crack the case. It's for ratings. And I just, I hear, and I'm not bashing him because, like people will say, oh, you're just jealous. What have you done? Man, kudos to him. But what I'm telling you is that I would not take that opportunity. That opportunity he's taken is not helpful. It's not. It just makes it that much more hard to find someone that doesn't have a bias, one way or the other, right? You are falling into this area where they've already been convicted by the Court of Public Appeal. We know this. So it doesn't matter what kind of suspect we try to render other than those two. I would say that the general public is not going to be accepting of anyone else. Right? Yes. It's, that's just like wallpaper, right? I looked at it too, and it doesn't have anything to do with this case. So it's just like fancy wallpaper. And again, I'm not bashing the guy, but what I say is, see, when my okay, let me preface it, guys. All right. I've been on the other side. Okay. Chris has never been on the other side. So when you've been on the other side, Mr. McDonough, or however you say your name, sir, when you've been on the other side and you're facing detectives and you're facing this and that and the other, you have a different appreciation for the way justice really actually works. There's a lot of detectives out there that don't know the first thing about the way a criminal trial works. Right? They're not even specialized in their own field, right? You would think that a detective should be well versed in cybercrime, blood spatter, bullet trajectory. That's CSI work, right? Detectives don't, measure and angulate bullet hole trajectories and blood spatter evidence. There's someone else specialized to do that. detectives canvas and then, they expedite and align the other trades in criminality. Fingerprint experts, firearm experts, yada, yada, yada. Right? So, the detective is just an in-between guy. Right? And again, so many detectives don't have a clue about what it takes to go on the stand and keep your jury pool clean, right? See, I'll ask you this and I'll ask you this way. Let's say Don and Candace actually did something to Summer, right? Now, let's say because of everything that's went on online, they put them on a stand and the people just can't do it. They're like, nah, we've just seen too much on YouTube. We can't convict them. They let them walk. And I don't know, maybe they leave them, exposed to the other children where they can do something to the other kids. Or let's say that it continues on like it is and the public outcry makes uneducated prosecutors and law writers in Hawkins County bring charges to two people who they don't have a strong case. And when they bring that shit in the box, what happens? They convict the wrong person. And then 10 years later, like Scott Peterson or any of these other trials, you watch this fool fight for a new trial, get it, and then YouTube is back on generating funds again, right? That's what it's about, right? So YouTube needs this to go on as long as humanly possible. Because the longer this goes on, the longer they can suck money out of YouTube and advertisers for the views, the longer that they can fuck around with the super chat, the longer they can pay Pool or Cash App or Venmo or Zelle, whatever it is. You go look at some of these descriptions from some of these content creators, and it won't be shit except for a portal to put all their payment information in the description. No answers automatically, statistically speaking. Yes, so statistically speaking, what is it? 92% of all child abductions are family related, right? But what we do know is a great majority. Mel, you know what it is. In the truth, they don't want the truth being told. Now, imagine this, guys. Imagine you just lived a regular life or take a vacation on a credit card. And then when they realize the wilder they get on the YouTube with the shits, oh. Only dude that goes live without charging the phone. Anyways, I feel like that was probably the spirit. That probably. I had to say it. Yeah, had to. Hey man, you know the deal. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. I don't ask y'all for no money, so please hit the like button on the way out. If you got any comments of an intelligent nature, please put them in the box below. If you're not subscribed, please think about subscribing. Fuck you, me.